was sentenced.
Traveling Food Summit visits Marquette. I'm Hannah Schutzkis.
And I'm Dan Kampanen, and this is your Public Eye News. If last week's Halloween snowfall didn't get you thinking about winter now would be a great time to start because the state of Michigan has declared this week Winter Awareness Week. We're not expecting the blistering and extreme cold of last year, but look for it to stay down in those colder temperatures well into March. A little effort could even save you a lot of heartache and trouble during these coming winter months. Meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Negaunee, Matt Zika, recommends keeping an emergency roadside accident kit in your car. This includes essentials like a blanket, kitty litter, a shovel, and water. Also, Ishpeming Township Fire Chief Jerry Heber recommends getting chimneys clean because of the building up of flammable creosote, which can cause chimney fires and also house fires. On to a story now that we've had much extensive coverage on. 33-year-old Robert Rahela of Ishpeming was sentenced yesterday at the Ishpeming District Court on a charge of aggravated assault domestic violence. Rahela was arrested this past April after striking his victim in the back of the head several times and getting into a 15-hour police standoff. He is sentenced to 12 months probation and has to pay a $1,355 fine. And if he violates his probation, he could face up to 180 days in jail.
Marquette Township hosted representatives from Eagle Mine for the last public forum of the season. The forum is a chance for citizens to ask questions and rate the mine's safety, as well as for information on the mine's operations to be presented to the public. Most of the questions were regarding how miners get ore out of the ground and how it is then processed and transported. This is the fourth year the mine has held the forum, and they have already stopped at 3 townships before visiting Marquette. The Traveling Food Summit Together at the Table made a stop in Marquette on Wednesday. Issues including food safety as well as sustainability were discussed by both farmers and citizens interested in buying and selling local food. Another important topic up for discussion was that the average age of the American farmer has skyrocketed to 60 years old, and farmers are looking for a way to convince younger generations to take up that line of work. The summit is also presented as an opportunity for local farmers and schools to network with potential partners.
The Wayne County Prosecutor's Office announced Thursday that 19-year-old Sierra Nicole Tankersley has been charged in the death of her 1-year-old. Tankersley was charged with felony murder and first-degree child abuse. Prosecutors say the mother called 911 around midday, and the girl was found unresponsive. The child was taken to a hospital where it was found she had multiple fatal wounds to the head. Authorities also removed another girl from the home and haven't yet reported if Tankersley has an attorney. A South Milwaukee dog is recovering today after a gruesome attack by a deer. Ted Moss was walking his dogs in Grant Park when he saw a buck and a doe. The doe ran away at the sight of Moss, but the buck charged and attacked Moss's black Labrador Rowdy. Moss said because he has a concealed carry permit, he pulled out his gun to scare off the buck. He took Rowdy to a rescue veterinarian, and he is expected to return home by Saturday. Guy Smith of the Milwaukee County Parks Department recommended keeping dogs on leashes as it is deer mating season. And stay tuned because after the break, we'll have your national and international news.
Join the President and First Lady as we honor the brave men and women and their families who have served our country with courage, dedication, and sacrifice. With performances by Mary J. Blige, John Fogerty, Common, Daltrey, Romeo Santos, and Willie Nelson in a salute to the troops in performance at the White House.
Friday evening at 9 on Public TV 13.
Welcome back. 3 men are now facing charges after creating a fraud involving the helicopter that transports President Obama. One of the men, a Marine who serves as a contractor for Helicopter Squadron 1, illegally gave the other 2 men information about his maintenance contract. They were planning to use this information to inflate a bid proposal by a few $100,000 in order to submit an attractive bid to a North Carolina committee. The men have been indicted on charges that include wire fraud and procurement fraud. And for 6 years, President Obama and Republicans on Capitol Hill have butted heads over a wide range of issues. But now that the GOP is in control of both chambers of Congress, the 2 sides are vowing to work together. Craig Boswell has more from Washington, D.C.
GOP leaders are laying out what they want a Republican-controlled Congress to get done. House Speaker John Boehner and Senator Mitch McConnell promised to end the gridlock in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. Among their goals, focus on the economy and create jobs, approve the Keystone XL pipeline, and repeal Obamacare. While President Obama only shares one of those goals, the GOP leaders are promising to find common ground.
I think we ought to start with the view that maybe there are some things we can agree on to make progress for the country.
President Obama has a reputation for keeping congressional Republicans at arm's length, but after Tuesday night, he says that has to change.
I'm certainly going to be spending a lot more time with them now because that's the only way that we're going to be able to get some stuff done.
The president called GOP leaders Wednesday, and he says they can work together on expanding trade in Asia and Europe and building roads, bridges, and new ports at home. But the president says he will act without Congress to stop the deportation of undocumented workers. Republican leaders say that would be unnecessarily antagonistic. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
A U.S. airstrike in Syria appears to have killed a key French jihadist who is part of the militant Khorasan group. The strike happened overnight Wednesday near Idlib. The U.S. fired at a vehicle believed to have carried David Drudgen, a skilled bomb maker in his 20s, who has ties to core al-Qaeda members. The Khorasan group is comprised of senior al-Qaeda leaders who moved to Syria. This and previous attacks came amid intelligence that suggested the group was plotting against a target in the United States, as well as other Western targets. Intelligence suggested Khorasan was in the final stages of planning these attacks. It is also believed that their head bomb makers were working on ways to beat airport security, like explosive liquid-dipped clothing and bombs concealed in personal electronics. The economy is looking up as we head into the holiday season. Jill Wagner has more with CBS Money Watch.
The markets open today in record high territory. Investors are in a buying mood. They sent the Dow and S&P to a record high finish yesterday. More travelers will take to the skies this Thanksgiving. Airlines for America, an industry trade group, predicts that more than 24 million passengers will travel on U.S. airlines during the 12-day Thanksgiving period, a slight increase from last year. Airlines are using their recent profits to add more seats. The busiest travel day, Sunday, November 30th. There's encouraging jobs news this morning. The Labor Department says the number of people applying for unemployment benefits dropped last week to its lowest level in 14 years. We'll get a bigger picture of the health of the overall job market tomorrow when the government releases its October report. And CBS News launched its own digital streaming news network this morning. It is called CBSN. Viewers can watch live anchored news coverage on their connected TVs and devices around the clock. CBS CEO Les Moonves says he's confident this will appeal to both traditional news consumers and a whole new set of viewers. And that is your CBS Money Watch report. For more, follow me on Twitter at Jill Wagner CBS. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jill Wagner.
Country singer Miranda Lambert has made history at the 2014 CMAs after winning 4 awards on Wednesday night. She is now the most decorated female artist in the history of the Country Music Association Awards. Lambert now has a total of 11 CMA awards after also taking home the Album of the Year, Platinum, Single of the Year for the song Automatic, and Music Event of the Year for her We Were Us performance with Keith Urban. And stay tuned because after the break we'll have your weather and sports.
On Masterpiece Contemporary.
I'm going to propose a deal.
Whatever it is, it's not going to be good enough.
David Hare's follow-up to Page 8.
If you stay where you are, the CIA are going to be bringing you home in a cage.
Starring Bill Nighy, Helena Bonham Carter, Winona Ryder, and Christopher Walken.
This is Turks and Caicos. Nobody's who they claim to be.
Warwicker, Turks and Caicos.
Will you tell me your name?
It's Johnny Warwick.
On Masterpiece Contemporary.
Watch Sunday evening at 9 Eastern.
Welcome back. I'm Douglas Hardy with your Public Eye News weather. And if you look behind me at the Academic Mall, it's pretty gray, kind of dreary, but not too bad of a day all in all. The current conditions are cloudy with temperature of 36 degrees and winds out of the north at 20 miles an hour. There's a barometric pressure of 30.06 inches and holding. Tonight, we expect snow showers with a low of 31 degrees and winds out of the north-northwest at 12 miles an hour. Tomorrow it will be mostly cloudy with a high of 40 and winds out of the southwest at 13 miles an hour. And if we look around the UP, we can see that in Sault Ste. Marie, it is 40 degrees and cloudy. Manistique is 37 degrees and cloudy. Escanaba is also 37 degrees and cloudy, and so is Menominee. Iron Mountain is 35 degrees and cloudy, and Ironwood is 37 degrees and cloudy, while up in Houghton, it is 38 degrees and cloudy, and back here in Marquette, it's 36 degrees and cloudy. Looking ahead, we can see the weather for this weekend. Saturday, we expect a high of 37 degrees and a low of 26 degrees, and snow. Sunday, there's a high of 35 degrees, a low of 26 degrees, mostly cloudy. Monday, a high of 32 degrees and a low of 24 degrees, also mostly cloudy. So, the weather's starting to get pretty chilly, but I hear it's really heating up in Detroit.
That's right, after a cold start, the Pistons have finally won a game. The Detroit Pistons won their first game of the season last night. The Pistons defeated the New York Knicks 98-95. Detroit was led by power forward Greg Monroe, who posted 23 points and 18 rebounds. The Pistons also got help from shooting guard Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who scored 20 points, including 4 three-pointers. Detroit overcame 20 points from Knicks shooting guard and former University of Michigan player Tim Hardaway Jr. Hardaway was greeted with an applause from Detroit fans for his time at U of M and the fact that his father, former NBA player Tim Hardaway, is a part of Detroit's coaching staff. Detroit will attempt to make 2 wins in a row on Friday night against the Milwaukee Bucks at the Palace of Auburn Hills. It was not a good night for the Detroit Red Wings, however. The Wings lost 4-3 in overtime to the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. Detroit was down by 2 in the second period and got back in the game after back-to-back goals by Jacob Kendall and Daniel Cleary. After the Rangers gained a 3-2 lead, the Wings tied it up again with a goal on a power play by Thomas Tatar. New York Rangers center Derek Brassard scored on a power play 2 minutes into overtime to hand Detroit its 3rd loss in a row. The Wings will attempt to bounce back Friday night against the New Jersey Devils at Joe Louis Arena. Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson was denied reinstatement into the NFL. Peterson attempted to gain activation from the commissioner's exempt list following the resolution of child abuse charges filed against him. Tuesday, Peterson pled no contest to child abuse charges. He will pay a fine of $4,000, serve 80 hours of community service, and be placed on probation. Peterson has missed 8 games since playing in the season opener for Minnesota. According to Peterson's attorney, Peterson wants to resume his NFL career this season. Attorney Rusty Hardin said, quote, he wants to resume a normal relationship with his son and to play football. This has been tremendously harmful to him. He's accepted responsibility that he made a mistake, and the NFL ought to honor the judgment the prosecutor made, end quote. For now, the Vikings have a bye week, which gives the NFL time to decide on Peterson's return. So, Hannah, you have a story about tweeting on the job?
I do. It's about a teenage girl who's in trouble after tweeting while she was supposed to be working at the voting polls in California. The girl was asked to leave after complaining about voters on Twitter, as well as posting pictures of the voters on the social media site. Election officials stated that poll workers are taught in training that this kind of behavior is not acceptable. The user's account and all of her tweets have since been deleted. And Washington, D.C. voters may have passed a measure to legalize cannabis, but lawmakers in Congress are saying it's going to be a tough law to review. Many congressmen and women plan to attempt to block the legislation. The ranking Republican on the committee in the district, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, says that the city's pot laws, quote, should be left to local officials, end quote.
Sounds like Mary Jane might be working her way to D.C.
Absolutely, it's quite a change.
It is.
She's working her way all over the country now, apparently.
Yeah.
Oregon and Alaska, I believe, both got it, so it's great.
Both newcomers in the movement.
That's all we have here for you at Public Eye News. Join us again tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.